Cody, I'm a little concerned. I don't know if you saw everything that was happening here, but your son's not here. And I just asked Roy, where is your son? And the answer was Delray, Doral, Sunrise, Pompano, and someplace else.
It's one of those.
He gave me 5 or 6 places where he could have been. All I see, have you seen any of the video footage from where your son and Zaz are? Have you seen anything in the preview screen?
I saw a fleeting glimpse of Zaz looking ridiculous.
Okay, but you saw something on a Zoom. Have you seen them in a wrestling ring?
I have not.
Okay, because I just saw your son in a wrestling ring, and I don't know who his wrestling character is. I don't know what it is that he's going for, but he's wearing a bandana, he's wearing a wig, and he's hopping around with a bad back. He hurt his back yesterday. I can't think of a worse time to be doing this than immediately after hurting your back. Zaslow looks amazing. He looks great. Don't Tony. You don't. You
no,
think
Dan. You didn't see what I saw. I saw Zaz real gingerly getting underneath those ropes. It was very old man when he went back up, holding his lower back, trying to get underneath the last rope.
Lewis, do me a favor. Before they know that we're watching them as they get warmed up, can you please just put them on the screen? Put them in picture-in-picture. Just I don't want them to know that we're watching them, but they are in a wrestling ring. I am told it's in Delray, Pompano, Doral, and Sunrise. Roy gave me all of that information during the break.
This one's Pompano.
So I don't believe you. I don't believe him. I don't believe that we've got anything under control. And when I look at Zaslow and Chris right now and what they're doing, I don't feel great confidence in our show getting off the ground successfully today, given that Chris Cody left this in the hands of Roy.
He almost fell right there.
He hurt his back, though. They don't know that we're watching. Zaslow looks great, though. He looks this is an ancient reference, but do you guys remember in the original Running Man, the operatic Iceman singer who was fat and bald?
Or he's dressed exactly like Stone Cold Steve Austin, complete with a vest that says Austin 316, the jorts, and the bald cap, but sure, somebody else.
Does he need the bald cap?
Stone Cold Steve Austin, yes. Okay. And the other guy's Macho Man. Biggest hint is the Macho Man shirt.
I can't see it. He hurt his back. Do you guys know? Because he was limping around here yesterday. He was worried. He was lamenting and mumbling about his age because bad back. Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Have you gotten old when you're suffering from the bad back? Because it was a bit of a crossroads for Chris, who fancies himself our best athlete, to wake up in the morning with a bad back for no good reason. It felt like Howard Bryant pulling both of his hamstrings when he got out of bed.
How arrogant did I sound correcting you on wrestling?
You were very pleased to do it. But
he looks like someone that's not Stone Cold Steve Austin. Come on.
All right, do me a favor.
Has he ever stretched before? Zaz is stretching, and I'm convinced he's never stretched in his entire life.
Let me tell you something. Bad gate.
Va a dar toda la vuelta así. Lo abrimos aquí.
Time for the fastest moving sport. We're so damn excited to get back to the battle court. Step on the concha. Your cesta launches a chick-chack. And the Cyclones gear up for the attack. Highlight is back, Jack. When the Warriors are running through, pick up the phone and call Manu. When the Renegades are moving in, the Cyclones will step up and win. When the fronton is getting packed, that's how you know that Highlight is back, Jack. Let me hear you say, Highlight is back, Jack. The Lotus flying through the air.
I genuinely like this sport.
So we better see you there when they remate. Rebote like a maniac. If you say this game's the best, I'll say it's a gag. Highlight is back, Jack.
For my rotator cuff, so please be gentle.
Highlight is back, Jack. Highlight is back.
makes me genuinely happy to be associated with everything that you just saw on the screen after the Macho Man and Stone Cold Steve Bloated were on your screen. Put on the picture-in-picture, please. Put them up. I want to keep an eye on them because we're going to go live soon to Delray, Sunrise, Pompano, Doral, where Domino is with Chris Cody and Zaslow. Greg Cody, I wish you guys had seen him. I wish that I didn't have so much going on that you would have had narcissism cam on Greg Cody as he watched his highlight open, because you should have heard him yesterday as he left here, harumphing. He's like, hey, I did that highlight song. When's it going? When you using it? Huh?
Did I really have that tone of voice?
Yeah, you were like, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. And then I asked Carl, you act as if you don't know who works here.
Highlight is back, Jack. I just wanted to air it. That's all. I was airing my grievances, hoping Highlight is back, Jack would air finally. What a song. What a performance.
Are you winded already?
No, not at all.
Tony, he sounds winded.
Well, he did an extra show yesterday. We did Mystery Crate yesterday, so he had an extra show, so he's got a little bit more, gas.
Yeah, I do it all.
All right. Do we have microphones? We got a lot going on. All right. Nick Wright's going to join us, and he's about to play in one of the biggest tournaments of his life. We're going to air it tonight on our channel, and I'm pretty sure that he is giving you guys a stake in what it is he's doing tonight. And so if he wins big, a small percentage of him winning big, I think, is a big amount of money. I don't know if this is true about Nick. I'm going to ask him, but I think he prides himself on being a gambler more than he does being a sports media member, because sports media member, it's easier to get on top of the suckers than it is in gambling. So he can climb to the top of this. He respects the gamblers more.
There's fewer sharks in the media game than there are in the poker game. It feels like there's a lot more sharks.
And so I'm going to ask him these questions. He's going to be here in a little bit, but I want to go out because they are in Pompano, I am told, and it was a big night last night in Coral Gables. It was a fun night last night in Coral Gables.
It was a magical night, but for those listening to the podcast and not following along on the stream, when Dan says our channel, youtube.com/@LeBatard shows, where you get tonight's Nick Wright gambling event.
Thank you for that, and Nick will be here in a moment, but he's playing in a big poker tournament, and we are going to televise it for you, even though you usually have to pay for those things in order to see it. And you will see and find out in minutes what the stakes are for the shipping container, because he feels bad about the fact that he hasn't won you guys any money yet. And I think he's got a chance to win you a pretty substantive amount of money tonight.
No, that'd be nice, because he's, a very good gambler, and he plays in these massive, high-stakes, high-limit games, and he talks about how he won a Rolex Presidential Day Date that's a $75,000 watch, and he flexes it on us, and it's like, all right, buddy, time to redistribute a little bit of that wealth.
Do I get a cut of that or no?
We'll find out.
Curious.
We'll find out who Nick is cutting in. Didn't he cut somebody out last week? Who was it? Was it Jeremy last time?
Yeah, I think Jeremy.
I don't know.
I lost us that bet because I dared to even float the idea of a kicker missing a field goal. It wasn't as bad as Roy saying that there was going to be an interception. That's unforgivable.
Nothing's worse.
I apologized because I don't have much experience gambling, which is understandable why Nick is the way he is, right? I could have some success in media. I could not have any success in gambling, so I get why he feels that way.
Look what I'm surrounded by, Dan, okay? We've got Roy, who says there's going to be an interception on the last drive. It happens. I've got Jeremy over there, who says Harrison Butker's going to miss an extra point. He does. They lose. We lose out on money. What? The only guy I have around here is worth his salt right here is right next to me, Mike Ryan.
But I don't think that
That's
Nick Wright is including him in anything. I want to talk about what happened in Coral Gables last night, because Mike was watching the baseball game. He was watching both games, but he seemed more interested in the baseball game than the basketball game, as the UM basketball team is ending Virginia Tech's NCAA hopes. Virginia Tech has lost on a bunch of buzzer beaters and then lose this way at the end here, where Miami can't make any threes. They've got two fatal flaws that are going to kill you in the tournament. They can't shoot threes or free throws, but they keep
just
winning.
can't shoot.
They can't shoot, period. Free throws.
No, but what they can do is just throw bodies at the paint and at the shot clock, and it's not quite Bob Huggins. Just throw the ball at the shot clock and see if you can get it. But they can't shoot free throws, and they can't shoot threes, and they need Donaldson to bail them out with 24 points in the second half. when they're not getting much of anything from anyone else, and they beat Virginia Tech. They're a big favorite against Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech is playing for its season. If you don't think that matters, look at what Georgia did to Kentucky yesterday, because they knew they were playing for their season.
Oh, don't bring up the Kentucky game. I'm so
Why?
worried because that job is going to open up, and the first call they better make is to Jay Lucas because, look, you mentioned the spread. And you also mentioned that Virginia Tech's had a tough season. I think Virginia Tech's a pretty good basketball team. And when you given the emotion of the North Carolina win, the epic comeback, the travel back, this is a vintage ACC letdown spot for the Miami Hurricanes. Renew goes out for some time in the second half, and you're carried by Trey Donaldson's career-high 32 points. It was unbelievable. But the totality of the sports night on campus was insane because you had people starting their evening at Marklight Stadium against UCF, Jeremy School, a good baseball team, one that has had a lot of success recently against Miami. You had those fans leave to go to the Watsco Center. The game, improbably so, because UCF was dominating this baseball game. Miami had like 4 hits entering the 8th inning. Miami ties it, sends it to extras. It goes all the way to 13 innings. And what you have on television is an amazing scene where some students were running back to Marklight Stadium, and the garage that's adjacent to Marklight is jam-packed with UM basketball fans. It was an electric atmosphere.
That's one of the coolest things in UM kind of basketball, baseball. You can sit at that garage that sits right over and watch some of the games, and it's so cool.
I will tell you some of the backstory here that makes it interesting as you watch what it is that Zaslow and Chris Cody are doing. We will go to them in a second. But for those of you not familiar with what a weird, wonderful place the University of Miami is, it doesn't really make sense for a campus of any kind of that size, manicured size, to exist in the area it exists in. This is not a college town in any way.
It's one of the richest zip codes in America.
And it just doesn't make sense, okay, that between a baseball stadium that is honestly the reason that Miami started mattering in sports to the country. When ESPN started televising Ron Frazier's baseball team to the nation, the University of Miami baseball team was this foreign thing in the South that would make its way to Omaha and really made the program start mattering, honestly. Rick Barry did what he did in the 50s, and football obviously did important things too. But Ron Frazier and the University of Miami baseball program made college baseball matter, and they made sports matter more in this town beyond the Dolphins. So they've got their stadium on the corner, and at that time, the basketball arena is in the bottom of a hotel. It's at the Knight Center. It's at the bottom of a hotel. I'm not even making this up. It's the basketball gym where the basketball team played. Never mind Final Fours. It was underneath.
This is good. Continue giving the entire history of both sports.
I want to do this because of what happened last night, and you've got an arena now in basketball built on campus. Between that and the baseball stadium, it's walking distance, and what's there is a parking garage between the two things. And a bunch of things that medicine makes possible because...
you mean a hospital?
Don't forget the Green Tree practice fields where legends are made.
And so between those two things, Miami rarely gets to feel like a college campus town that way with the smaller sports, not football, in other words. And so on this night, you've got college baseball, the program, it's one of the most respected programs that there is in the country in baseball because of its history and because of its now. And the basketball team is playing a game during what I said, Mike, was the most prove-it time in their schedule, and they've won all of the games they've played so far. So they should be ranked, okay? Now, it's not the easiest thing to be ranked. The other Miami of Ohio has won 25 straight games, and they're barely in the top 25. They haven't even gotten into the top 20 yet, and they're unbeaten at whatever it is, 25, 26-0. But Miami will be ranked because this game was a letdown game. They had no business winning the last 2 games, but they won them anyway. Honest to God, Greg, this story is beginning to feel, I don't know if they could beat any of these big dogs, but they're just junkyard dogs.
Mm-hmm.
They're just a team that's sort of been thrown together on, can you beat everyone even though you can't shoot? Put that elbow in that guy's ear and make the refs call it, because all you're going to do is play some physical basketball that's going to ground down. I thought Virginia Tech deserved to win that game last night.
And it's worth repeating that Jay Lucas, what he took over was similar to worse than what Mario Cristobal took over on the football team. He had to do a complete rebuild. Like he had to start over. Larry was great for the program, but he left Jay Lucas nothing. And so what Jay Lucas has done is ground floor stuff to go from what he took over to where they are now is just fantastic.
The reason that I'm explaining the entire history, I understand that Mike doesn't think that the University of Miami audience needs that or the Miami audience does, but I am explaining it to the national audience that happens to listen to the local hour what the history of these programs are, because it doesn't make sense that those two things exist where they do in Miami right next to each other. And to have that night is not a night that feels possible almost at any other time. You need the college basketball program to grab the community and the students and fall in love with the basketball team at the same time that the University of Miami baseball team is playing an extra inning game with that specific community of people, which is the baseball people at the University of Miami. The fans of that team might be the closest knit community there is at the University of Miami attached to any sport, because they have a place, they have a corner to go to where it feels like they've still got the 1950s neighborhood.
And I'm glad you gave credit to Ron Frazier, the great Ron Frazier, the showman. He put that sport on the map. In a way, he did a lot to put college baseball on the map, because he made it a spectacle. He made you want to go to games with all this gimmickry and all these giveaways and everything, and he made Mark Light Field filled up. So he's been great, and to be excited about the fourth game of a college baseball season is difficult. Like that, nobody talks about college baseball the first weekend of the season, but it was worth it last night. And what they've got right now is a good double play, and you're right. They're right up the street from each other, a 2-minute walk.
I do love that sense of community. And in what would be considered a doldrum for Miami athletics, this is always an exciting time of year, because Miami baseball always opens up with like a month-long homestand because it's freezing everywhere else in the nation. And you can often do a double. You can start your night at Mark Light, have a beer and a shake, walk over to the Watsco, and the event, like something happens last night, which is just a magical scene, a perfect storm of things coming together, where both teams win really dramatic games, a walk-off home run, just a huge bomb to left center. It was an incredible night, and, you know, we said this every time Miami's hired a football coach, where you hope to get it right, but especially when they hired Mario Cristobal, which is when the football team is good, everything at that university just seems to cook. Get the football team right, and that tide will lift all boats. And it's starting to happen, and it's starting to be a really exciting time in Coral Gables.
Also, the University of Miami basketball team is now 21-5 under High Lucas. That's a 14-win increase from last year. They were 7-24. It's the biggest turnaround in the country. Like, there's been no team in the country that has done that from one year to the other. We will get out to Chris and Zaz in a second, but Nick Wright is joining us now. And as I mentioned, he's playing in a big tournament. I don't know whether it's the biggest of his life, but you can watch it at pokergo.com or on our YouTube channel tonight. I don't know how long is this going to go tonight. I don't know what the stakes are. Nick, fill us in on the specifics of what it is you're doing and what the stakes are for the shipping container.
All right. Hi. Thanks for having me. I'm the guy on the phone in the airport, so I'm going to try to keep my voice down. And I'm not. It kind of looks like I'm in a bathroom. I'm not in a bathroom. Hold on. Let me move around so you guys I can prove that. All right. Good. It's not a tournament. It's a cash game. So the distinction there is, Dan, you can, I guess, make or lose, differing amounts of money. It's not like you pay a tournament, you pay 10 grand to get in, and then one person ends with all the chips. That's not what this is. As far as the stakes, Dano, it seems like they might be a little bigger than I had anticipated, because a lot of the guys who were playing yesterday, the guy who put the game together, Antonio Esfandiari, who old poker fans will remember as the magician during the poker boom, he put the game together. And in what was supposed to be a pretty friendly game with him and some LA businessmen, he lost $345,000 yesterday. And which means today's stakes are probably kicked up, which, could be good. We'll see. I wired, it's going to be on stream, so I can just tell you guys, I wired $100,000 to the Aria Resort and Casino. And hopefully they wire back more than that. Now, as far as the shipping, how people can watch, they can also watch on my YouTube page. It's free for everyone. People should watch on your YouTube page. It'll start The stream will start, I believe, at 6 p.m. Eastern and will go 6 hours. It'll just continuous play. And am I wearing the same thing in that picture? Close to it. And
you look like you're out of rounders, though. You really do look. You look like you're out of that jacket is out of. You just emerged from a Turkish bath,
so
and
that jacket in the picture I just realized is Scotch and soda velour sweatsuit that I wear. This is an old Nike Tech Fit, but I'll wear something different on stream. But it doesn't matter. The point is this. So I'm just going to give the shipping container a free roll of 5% with a maximum win for them of 5K. So if I win 50 grand, the shipping container can chop up 2,500. If I lose, they lose nothing. And if somehow I go, if this thing goes crazy, they're maxed out at 5K to split amongst themselves. I'm glad Roy is there. Because the last time I did this, I don't think Roy was there.
So who gets to be a part of this? What's the group?
Who's there?
Well, we've got.
Let me see the room.
You got Roy, Greg Cody, Tony, Mike Ryan, Jeremy are the people who are here.
And Lewis.
What
about Lewis?
And Lewis,
Yeah,
yes.
Can't forget about Lewis. Lewis is the only guy I talk to every time. I really need to move because it really does look like I am in the bathroom.
Yeah, it does.
I got to get behind a door or something. I'm going to do it from here. And so now I will tell you an added element of it because I think my edge might come in getting under people's skin. There's a guy in this game who they call him Kiki. He also is known as Senior Tilt. He's actually one of the main sponsors. I'm not saying I think this guy's a crook. I wouldn't say that, but I don't like him. And he seems to have endless money. Now, where does this money come from? No way to tell, but he seems to have a lot of it. And so I want to win, but I really want to win by kind of going through him. So that seems like it would be good. The guy who created Burning Man seems like something Mike Ryan would be into. He's playing in the game. I mentioned Antonio. There's this guy named Doc Holiday, Doc something, who's like a neurosurgeon. Guys, that's racist. He's like a neurosurgeon who, but he also wore like a bedazzled hat yesterday. So I don't know how sharp he is. So I don't know. So it'll be good. It'll be fun. And I need to, the need is strong, but I thought this was going to be a game where a good win or a bad loss would be in like the low to mid 5 figures. And yesterday, a lot of people won and lost in the 6 figures. So I might be slightly under-rolled for it, but the good and the bad side of having A+ credit amongst the gambling community is just because I only brought 100 grand doesn't mean I only have access to it. So we'll see. It didn't take, I work hard. I deserve to take a shot. And I think it's a good spot. No pros in the game except for Antonio. And Antonio is going to be on mega tilt because he lost 350 grand in a 100-200 game yesterday. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got a ton. You still haven't answered who's involved in the shipping container on this bet. You have to select the people.
I just told you all.
Okay,
those,
but so
all
the 6 of them.
Those 6.
Who's 6?
Lewis.
Those 6.
There's 4 people
Lewis.
here. Who's
Okay.
fifth? Lewis.
All right, so it's 5 of you. My bad.
Macho Man's not allowed to be in.
Okay, no Zaslow.
He chose to be Macho Man.
No
please.
Zaslow, no Chris Cody.
Definitely not
No
Chris.
Greg
Zaslow.
Cody. No Greg Cody.
Greg's got money.
Is he in the shipping container?
I was going to give
Hold on.
my cut to charity.
He was trying to get in there, but I guess
Can
not.
I just tell you something?
Blatant
Greg
lie.
Cody has been suckling at the teat of legacy media for so long. If this guy doesn't have millions in cash literally buried in the backyard of his house,
That's
I'm
true.
disappointed.
He doesn't. It's true.
Okay.
He doesn't need it. And
Okay.
given the fact, and again, Greg, I hope you're around forever, but I've seen the toenails. That means Chris Cody one day is going to get millions of dollars buried in the back of Greg's house.
Okay.
He's
Yeah,
fine.
he's lucky.
All right,
It's all in a
so-
coffee
all right,
can.
so
Couple of coffee cans.
Okay, so pokergo.com is where you go. The question we had before we let you out of here, he's going to do this at 6 o'clock tonight. His YouTube channel, our YouTube channel. It's a live, no limit.
Juju's got to be involved. Is Juju not in?
Juju's not in, so we've got to include Juju now. Now it's 7.
No, I'm including Juju. No, there's not 7. I don't
What are
know
you
where
counting?
the 6th is.
What are you doing?
It's the 4 people. It's the 4 people I just saw on screen, plus Lewis, plus Juju.
That's
Right.
6
There's
now.
like that's
I
6.
get
That's
nothing.
You
fine.
said 7.
Nothing
Just,
for me.
not Chris Cody.
Not
So
a-
we're
Yeah,
clear.
not Chris Cody, not
Zilch.
Greg Cody, not Zaslow. Zaslow, nice press.
No, that's Chris
and-
Cody.
and
That's
so-
not Zaslow. Who are you talking to, Zaslow or Chris Cody? Chris Cody's the macho
Oh.
man. Like,
Oh, that made me. Then I didn't mean to be mean to Chris like that. I like Chris.
okay, but you took
But
out
I guess I was talking to Chris.
the question
Sorry
I
about
had
that.
before you get out of here. The question I have is, what do you identify as more? A sports media member, where you get your sports identity, prouder of a sports
Yeah.
media member or a gambler?
I have been a gambler longer than I've been a sports media member. My dad, my grandfather on my mom's side until, weeks before he died, went to the racetrack 4 times a week into his 90s. My dad, statute of limitations up on this, he's 75 years old. Before he became a very productive member of society, in the, bowels of Kansas City, helped run illegal craps games. I first learned to gamble when I was 12 years old. My dad hustled me out of $108 in 9-ball and made me pay him $10 a month for 12 months because he was going to charge me 10% interest on it. And he thought that was going to teach me the dangers of gambling. And instead it taught me, Matt, wow, you can make a lot of money gambling if you know what you're doing. And so the answer is both, but one is in my DNA and the other is, what I love and what I do for a living. So probably gambler first, sports media member second is, I guess, what it would be. But I mean, this is not for everyone. But it certainly is for me. And I've never been happier with respect to this great show that in your millions and millions of listeners, my wife is not one of them, because my wife and I she knows I'm a gambler, but we don't really talk so much about amounts. And if she were to be watching and heard the amount that was wired to the Aria Resort and Casino, I think she would call me and be like, "You were joking with them, right?" My answer would be like, "Well, you don't want to lie." But so it is. We'll just see how it goes.
All right. PokerGo.com is nice enough to allow us to do all of this tonight. So enjoy it. Thank you, Nick. We will. The answer is you're a gambler, and the answer is you're a gambler because it's harder to get on top of all gamblers than the suckers in the sports media business who are easy to get past.
Quick question, Nick, before you go.
Yeah.
Mahomes just restructured his deal. He pulled the Tom Brady, saved a bunch of money for Kansas City against the cap. Do they make a run at Tyreek Hill? Do you want Tyreek Hill?
Oh boy. So I'm on the record at various times over the last 3 years ago. I said I think Tyreek Hill is going to play for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2026. He obviously in the last 2 years, he already had a tough off the field, rap sheet. It got tougher. He also suffered a catastrophic injury. He also was an all-time first ballot bad teammate to Tua. So for all of those things, I am not certainly as hot on it as I once was, but I'm also not going to lie to the audience. If they sign him, I'm not going to be like, I won't be a fan of the team. Like, maybe that makes me a bad person. My concern on it is that, listen, that every football team's going to have some, potential bad actors. I worry if a team's bad actors or potential bad actors are congregated in one position room, and the Chiefs have a bunch of good guys with no, question marks, and then a bunch of guys with question marks who all seem to be in the wide receiver room. So adding, I don't know if Tyreek Hill is veteran leader there. But if they get him for $5 million and see, I'm not gonna. I just got to be honest. This is, it's pro football, and I'll probably be like, man, maybe they can recreate some magic, and I'll deal with it. But I don't think it's a necessity. I am very interested. I want your guy, Mike, at 9th in the draft, Bain. If he's not he is my number one hope as far as realistically could be available. Who I want. I would rather have him than Jeremiah Love, the running back. If Bain's gone, the running back, I think, is fine, but it's a risky move, obviously. But the Chiefs right now, speaking of gambling or betting, right now on DraftKings, I think the Chiefs are 17-1 to win the Super Bowl. They have the 9th best Super Bowl odds. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And that is only predicated on the fact that there's questions about Patrick. And I would bet a lot of money that Patrick Mahomes will be dancing at Travis Kelce's wedding and will be starting for the Chiefs week 1. And when that happens, they'll have top 4 Super Bowl odds, as they should.
Oh, but what he also just did, though, Nick, and we'll let you go, but what he just did.
No, I got time. My flight's not boarding. I'll talk to you as long as you want.
What he's doing, though, is he's making sure with what he's learned in the humbling of the last few years of body and mind, I'll just make a bunch of money in a bunch of other places and I'll go get a bunch of players because I'll work with the organization to partner with the organization on get me the best offense, please. We all know what it takes to win here. I'll save you some money. I'll do what Brady did in a salary cap sport. You're going to get your quarterback value. You're going to get the most valuable thing there is, a great quarterback who you're getting at value.
Well, listen, he's done this. I don't want to, I'm not trying to go in the face of what you just said, but, I don't think it's about humbling. He's done this repeatedly. The brilliance of the 10-year contract that they gave Patrick, which no one has understood because it was a great contract for Patrick because, again, I'll be quick here, but the way the option year mechanisms worked, they were like, it's not that much guaranteed money, but all of his money for the 2 years down the road locks in 18 months early. So it's rolling guarantees. So it essentially was a $450 million contract with $400 million of it guaranteed. And so every year they do this thing where he's going to have a $75 million cap hit, becomes a $35 million cap hit. Like that is just the way his contract works. They can do it easily, but they're still not under the cap. Like they still have other work to do. But the Chiefs will be fine. They had an awful year but we were also reminded how flawed the rest of the conference is and how 2 of the teams that were supposed to be next up had such disasters. They fired their coaches. So I'm not worried about that at all. And I want to say one other unrelated thing, which is Mike Bryan, I stand with you, buddy. I thought your rant was great. And I also think that while I think, more respect for people that, whether they're on our side or the other side, that are open and unabashed about which side they're on, rather than the folks. And this is, I know you're going to think right now, Dan, I'm talking about Stephen A. I'm actually not in this regard. The folks who make fact errors when they're talking about real life stuff and attribute it to, I didn't know. And if you track those fact errors, 100% of them have been an error in the direction of whatever the conservative talking point was. They never once was like, oh man, I got fooled by a liberal meme on this and I spread that misinformation. They always make mistakes in the same direction, which is quite telling. But I thought you put it quite concisely and quite well about the shift in political discourse amongst sports media and what is and isn't allowed. And so I liked that a lot, and I appreciated it, Mike.
He punctuates the societal dismount by sitting back on the toilet, back in the
God
toilet. See you later, Nick. Good luck tonight. Thank you for allowing us to be on this ride with you. He is an exceptional gambler, and I think you're going to see tonight in an entertaining fashion him make some people at that table crazy, because I think he enjoys the human silliness of how do I get under the skin of my gambling friends here. They're not as good as he is at this. It doesn't mean they won't get better cards. It doesn't mean that they won't beat him, but they aren't as good at the science of studying people as he is.
Can someone relay to Zaz that occasionally picking your leg up does not constitute a stretch?
All right, let's go to Zaz. Let's go. It's long overdue. Let's go to Zaz right now. Also, please put up on the screen, instead of Stone Cold Steve Bloated, put on the screen the Running Man character that I said that he looked like. Tell me that I have this wrong. I feel like this is what Zaslow looks like in the ring. I think we need the audience to help us come up with the name of this tag team here, because I'm going to go with Los Gorditos. And if you guys have anything for me on this front, I'd like a name for this as a tag team.
I think this is younger than Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Yeah, I blew that yesterday. I wore that one all the way home. I was thinking about that when I drove in today. Why did I go Mr. Toad's Wild Ride there?
Ooh, Ichabod Crane, say that.
Zaslow joins us now from Sunrise, Delray, Pompano, Doral. And Zaslow, tell us why it is that you think a stretch is to just kick your knee up again and again.
Yo, you guys clearly don't know how to stretch, all right? You're sitting down there in a studio talking your talk, all right? I'm here getting working. You see that? That's how you stretch. You see this? That's how you stretch, all right? Learn something.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. We need a name for this tag team. Domino is helping teach them. He seems slightly embarrassed from the shadows. He doesn't seem like he is proud of his wrestlers. He thinks that they look funny, and I want to know, where are you right now, Chris, with your back? How are you feeling with your back? Ooh, see, that's how you do it.
Dano, I'm feeling all right with my back, Dano. The great ones tell their body, not today. That and a bunch of Advil. I'm not seeing straight right now.
Yo, you're in for a surprise. Let me tell you something. You may look at me and say, yo, Zaslow, he looks great, but he doesn't have any experience, all right, in wrestling. I'm a great wrestler. You're going to see. I know so much about wrestling. I'm going to be awesome here. I'm a great wrestler.
All right, Domino, what have you seen so far? Because I fear that if, like, for example, if Chris Cody just tried to do the most basic of Hulk Hogan's, run from one end of the ring to the other and do a leg drop, his back is going to break. Like, I don't think he can do this correctly. His back is what I meant to say.
No, apparently they think this is still Halloween.
Why aren't you in your gear?
I came to work porque yo me puse las pilas.
I came to work
Ahora
too.
sí,
Look at
ahora
this.
sí.
I don't know what you're doing.
I look more like Stone Cold than you. I have the actual knee brace on, all right? And this one, Macho Man, all right? You don't know that. Yo soy Macho Man.
Dan, this Domino's been running his mouth.
He's gonna get it. Work.
You
costume contest, all right?
You didn't get the memo. We're ready to work. You're wearing like pajamas or something.
I've always been a checkers guy.
Nacho Man.
Oye, mira, ponte en cuatro que te doy para el tiro.
Hey!
All right, so wait, are you guys going to actually do some wrestling? Are you going to do some moves? Or are you just going to be in character?
We were going to train, but I think I'm just going to have to go straight into a fight because the disrespect is real.
You want to fight?
Yeah.
If you want to fight somebody, you fight me.
You know what, 2-on-1, lo que sea, a mí no me importa.
You want to fight somebody, you fight me. I'll tell you
Look,
what.
your partner's already cowering away.
See what happened now?
Oh!
What?
Oh, you need weapons?
Now what?
You need weapons? You want to get violent now?
I'll tell you what.
Falta respeto.
I'll tell you what. There's one of you. There's two of us. How about no little bits?
Bring a third.
We have we get down. How about that? How about we show everybody? We're gonna put you down. I don't know what you said, but it sounded tough. Whatever.
Chris, are you going to hit him with the chair? Oh, you're just going to put the chair down and play with your hair.
Well, we're very winded. He'd have to take a breath.
So, Chris.
Stay tuned.
All right, thank you. That's about enough.
This is called foreshadowing.
That's enough. All right, that's good. We've set it up.
The rivalry.
Yes. So Chris's character, as far as I can tell, is just a wrestling character that moves the hair out of his face. That's all, and then points.
You're forgetting
at
the point.
Yeah.
He's like one of those animations at Disney that only has like so many moves. He hits like this like double jump on his feet thing, and then goes up to the ropes and just points at him.
And I think he workshopped a catchphrase. Hey now.
The Hank Kingsley. There are no wrestlers using the hey now.
Hey now.
that is absolutely not something that you see wrestlers use. And he did do very well, though. He has down. And I don't know whether he practiced this in Delray, Pompano, Sunrise, and Terrell.
What kind of down?
He has down the flipping of the hair out of his face.
Double flip.
I don't think we're allowed to make Down syndrome jokes.
Whoa! Who said anything about that?
You did it.
I did it!
Whoa! That should be a fine, man.
Switch gears.
We will check back in with the folks in the wrestling ring in a little bit. I did want to get back to one local story. Giannis is still doing interviews, and Giannis is in the middle of talking out of both sides of his mouth with Malika Andrews, he won't say that he wants out, but he's leaving the option to get out.
Yeah, that sort of means he's saying that he wants out without saying it, right?
Okay, but we've been here a while, so let's play this sound real quick of Giannis.
You're not okay with staying in Milwaukee and never having that feeling?
No.
Yeah.
I want to win, but the most important thing, I want to win a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks. And if that's not on the table or in the plans, so that's when you kind of like, okay, maybe I got to pivot because I really want to win.
Enough of this. Pshaw. Back of the hand. Pshaw.
It's the same thing, right? He's doing the same thing.
Over and over again.
Who's advising him? Does he think this is cool?
This sucks.
What is he doing, though? What would be the logic in sitting down and giving the same quotes you've been giving for 10 months? And really, it's 2 years of him looking at his watch and saying, time's running out for you guys.
He's doing the exact same thing Dwight Howard did. I have a T-shirt still in my closet of Dwight Howard saying loyalty. It says loyalty over it. That one time that Dwight Howard was trying to force his way out of Orlando and then tried to pretend that he was all about the Orlando Magic, he is ripping a page from the Dwight Howard playbook. And let me tell you, that is not a playbook you want to cheat off of.
Guys, do me the favor, please, of finding some of the best video there has ever been in sports of Dwight Howard coming over and being chummy with Stan Van Gundy after Stan Van Gundy immediately had just ripped him to the press. Get me that video so we can start the next hour with it.
Williams. Now, Dan, imagine what you just experienced being a 6-foot whatever man. Now put that in a 4-foot man as I'm trying to cross the street last night, looking at certain puddles going, this could be it. This could be where I go because the water was moving very fast. I forgot my floaties. I can't swim. I have a very large head that sinks. I have a very fat butt that floats. That's not good for swimming. I'm very nervous. Florida is not a good climate for me.
He instantly goes upside down.
I do. I turn into a fly girl in a club, just face down, ass up. Like, that's me. Instantly in a puddle. Here lies Brad, killed by puddle. That could happen.
Brad Williams makes me laugh all the time, but rarely as much as when he's greeting Mike Golick and they are doing that shoulder handshake, and Mike Golick has to get down and Brad Williams has to climb up. Why didn't you just go in for a straight handshake to say hello?
Because then I nut tap him. Because if I go straight handshake, there's the possibility. And by the way, how much, Gojo, were you just holding back? You're like, if I go full shoulder into this guy, he may evaporate into Skittles.
I was more thinking on if I went to pull in, because we went the dap with the hug.
Yeah.
And so there's that pull in the middle, and I was like, are we going to airlift Brad right now? Is this going to end up being like a swinging situation?
Did you go football mentality, low man wins, I'm not going to let this guy beat me.
That is true. I thought about just getting all the way down.
You got down pretty low. I thought you were going to throw out your back.
I was Jason Kelsey tush push status, trying to get down on all fours there. It was good.
And now I'm realizing that I missed my calling as an O lineman.
God, could you
low
imagine
man wins.
the Brad Williams led tush push? Unstoppable.
Well, not only was it funny because visually that was funny, you were also interrupting a story of Brad Williams kicking a one-legged man out of his last show. That's the story that you interrupted.
I did. There is no love lost between people who share parking in the handicapped space. He was gone. Get out of my show, sir.
Now, did you know he was one-legged before you kicked him out?
I did not. I did not.
So when he gets up.
I was in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and where all the one-legged people hang out, and the guy was talking way too much, and it's the worst kind of heckler to me. I will gladly take a heckler that yells out "F you" more than a guy that loves me but is just talking too loud and commenting on every joke and be like, that's so true when you did that. Like, God damn it.
That's a great joke, Brad Williams.
Yeah,
that's great. You're killing it, Brad.
That's what I'm doing. It's like he's encouraging me, but it's like your mom clapping too loud in the stands. Like, Mom, shut up! I can do this. And so I talked to him. He's like, hey, I paid good money to get in here, and I like, dude, you gotta shut up. And I finally had to kick him out. So he stands up, and he does the walk. And when he walks, the pant leg goes up, and I see the shiny metal underneath, and I'm like, oh no, no. And I kind of. And then, because I can't filter thoughts, I go, you have one leg, sir?
Oh, so you just decided to play with the cards out.
Let's go. And then he turns and goes, yep. And I was like, am I kicking out a soldier? Did you serve? And he goes, nah, car accident. And I'm like, okay, get like, if it's a soldier, then yeah. But I actually kept talking to him, and then because I felt bad, I invited him back. And he sat down, and we proceeded with the show. But then it just kept going. He got his second chance to the point where now I see the faces of the people around him being uncomfortable, and I'm like, all right, well now you. So I kicked him out again.
No,
I kicked him out again, and he gave me the whole like, well, do you know how much I paid for these tickets? And I go, an arm and a leg.
It's time for Vegas legend Kirita.
The man is a legend, and he's a legend in Vegas, where it's hard to be a legend. I've seen him. His face is ID to get into all the big places. And he's also, though, he's a Florida guy as well, and I think he should be a Panther fan because he grew up in Boca. So I don't know where he is, but I believe he's bigger than Wayne Newton now. He's more Vegas than Wayne Newton, and I'm not joking when I say comedy legend for 40 bleeping years. 40 bleeping years and still doing it 4 times a night in Vegas. You, Carrot Top, Mr. Top, are rooting for who in this series?
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
This is a bit stunning to say, but MLS is back this weekend. It seems like it happened really fast, and that's what happens when you play the last game of the season, when you're involved in the last game of the season. So we're going to get to Taylor Twellman in a second because somehow Messi is still doing it at this age. It's unfathomable to me. It really is. But before we get to Taylor, I just want to play that sound I promised you of the awkwardness with Stan Van Gundy and Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard clearly wanted out of Orlando, but was faking it. Stan Van Gundy, always authentic, never a faker. One of the most awkward press back and forth you will ever see is Stan Van Gundy answering a question about Dwight Howard, and then find out who pops up at the end.
What is your sense when you talk to management? Will they listen to him, or will it be a management?
Oh, I have no idea. They can. Well, obviously, it'll be a management decision. They have to make the decision, but I ain't worried about that. So.
Excuse me. Yeah, Stan, we're not worried about that, right?
That's what I just said. We got to be worried about winning games.
Yeah, what's our main concern right now? Jameer.
We have to stop Carmelo Anthony and the New York Knicks tonight.
And the New York Knicks.
That's exactly
That's
right.
the plan, right?
That is the plan. That's what I just said.
Is Dave Ping here today? The guy who started this BS?
I don't see Ping here.
Me neither.
Are you guys done with me?
That's all
you can talk to him
now.
All right.
Oof.
That's great.
Oof.
That was magic.
Oh,
No pun
boy. You don't remember what was swirling around that, though,
No, I
Tony.
remember, but I thought Stan stood his ground there in a stand your ground state and said, hey, look, this is what happened.
Yes, it is.
Stand your ground state.
Yeah,
Taylor,
you can't stand your ground in all states these days.
Taylor Twellman is with us
Talking about
now.
making a point, Dan. What's wrong with you?
Even I don't know what he's talking about.
MLS is back this
That
weekend.
felt forced.
He's the lead analyst for Apple TV's MLS coverage. Miami, as I mentioned, Inter Miami and Messi are the defending champions. Thank you for joining us, Taylor. Does it feel like it? Like it feels like something I felt in Miami that wasn't necessarily felt by all of MLS.
Yeah, it feels like it 100%, Dan. And I also think when you look at where they are this year on paper, you can make an argument they're actually going to be better. They're more talented. They're deeper. The fact that they're opening Miami Freedom Park on April 4th, it just feels like the World Cup less than 100 days away. Messi, defending champion Argentina. It's a long-winded way of saying, Dan, I think Miami could be better this year than they were last year.
Can you explain to me what the impact has been worldwide, though?
Worldwide in the sense that anywhere I go now, because of what Messi's done, the conversation of Messi, whether I'm in the United States, whether I'm in South America, whether I'm in Western Europe, the way I was a little bit ago, everyone's talking about watching Messi in a pink jersey. The fact that Inter Miami's not worth more than $1.45 billion, Dan, in the blink of an eye that happened. Everyone, because of Apple TV and the ability to watch this globally, everyone's getting an opportunity to watch Messi in MLS. And then I think when they open Miami Freedom Park, there's going to be a culmination of 12 hard years of work from the Moss family, the Beckham family. And I think it's only fitting that Lionel Messi's in that pink jersey that day.
Is the job done for him? Like, it's already a success, right?
Well, you could have said that before he played for Inter Miami. The moment he won the World Cup for Argentina, you could have made the argument, signed, sealed, delivered, it's done. He doesn't have to do anything, but that's not who he is. Dan, he's a very unique individual, and I've had the fortunate pleasure of really following him and seeing him and watching the competitiveness and watching behind the scenes of how every single day he's driving to be. He doesn't need to do anything. He's accomplished everything in the global game, in the game here, and yet every single time he steps on the field, he wants to prove you wrong. He wants to prove me wrong. He wants to prove himself wrong. That Father Time isn't knocking on the door. He's a very unique individual.
Taylor, Lionel may miss the season opener, nursing a minor injury. With Argentina in the World Cup a focus, an increasing focus, do you expect Messi's play for Inter Miami to be really regulated, a time management thing that we haven't seen before?
It's a great question. It really is. I think the answer to that is no, because Lionel Messi has said even himself that in order to play in this World Cup, he's got to be 100% match fit. Now, a lot of us would say, well, maybe that is load management. It's the opposite when you're at his age. Any single time you can get yourself 65, 75, 90 minutes, he will do so. Messi believes that he can only get that kind of fitness in games, not in training. Now, in saying that, they've got CONCACAF Champions Cup, they've got MLS, they're going to have Argentina friendlies. If there's a little wiggle here or there, to steal an English phrase, I would absolutely expect Messi to be very mindful that he doesn't want to expose himself. But if he can play the game, he's going to play the game. He's always done that. He always will do that. And especially because a lot of eyeballs, even more so in the United States of America, will be watching him defend the World Cup title. I know he's saying publicly that he won't play if he's not 100% fit. You can miss me with that. I expect him to play for Argentina.
We have some other questions about things outside of Messi, but you just brought up a point that I'm not sure has been absorbed by the American public. This club was worth $56 million in 2022. It is now the most valuable franchise in MLS at 135. That, plus the championship, suggests to me that the only way this could have gone better is if he had won all the championships. But if I'd given them the choice in Miami, which would you prefer, to win all the championships or have this, the most valuable franchise and now a future with a stadium that's opening? You understand what I'm saying? Messi has somehow exceeded the expectations.
He has. Dan, I'd argue they're not mutually exclusive. I'm not 100% sure they're worth that number if they haven't won the amount of trophies that they've won. Now, you and I could probably argue for 10 minutes. Okay, they're worth 1.1 billion or 1.2. It's not that much. But the point being is that in order for it to be successful, the dream was to open Miami Freedom Park as defending MLS Cup champions. They've done that. Now, behind the scenes and even publicly, they're talking about winning CONCACAF Champions Cup. So after the World Cup, Messi is then playing and representing in the FIFA Club World Cup. And so it just never stops because he's a winner and he wants to win. But Dan, make no mistake about it. If you would have asked the owners, you get the cup trophies or you're worth $1.4 billion, I'll let that simmer. You know that answer.
Hey, Taylor, thank you for joining us. Yesterday, we were talking about lewd behavior in the stands. There was a college basketball game in which the F Miami was chanted, and Greg wanted it eliminated from sports. And I brought up what happens in Mexico with the homophobic chants, how CONCACAF and FIFA have taken a lot of steps to phase that out, and yet the chants persist with North America hosting a World Cup. How would you phase this out of the game? Can you even do that?
Well, look at the Champions League game yesterday between Benfica and Real Madrid. And so as much as FIFA wants to raise their hand and say no racism, racism doesn't exist here, listen, actions are louder than words for me and slogans. And what happened with Vinicius Jr. is absolutely irresponsible. It's completely gross. There's no place for it in the game. Listen, I loved playing in front of fans that told me to F off, that told me any kind of stuff. But the moment you go to racism or homophobic, you lack creativity. That's not even a good chance. So
for the audience, though, we should point out Prestiani allegedly he called him a monkey 5 times. Correct?
All right. So this was Champions League, Benfica versus Real Madrid. Vinicius, in my lifetime in soccer, has been subject to as many of these incidents as I can recall any other player dealing with.
Michael, 27. Yeah, 27 times.
It's insane. He scores a big goal. He celebrates. Prestiani, a player for Benfica, allegedly to those on the pitch, calls Vinicius a monkey. And
5 times.
Yeah. Jose Mourinho, not his strongest moment. A former Real Madrid manager tries to smooth things over, says we can't be a racist club. Our greatest player is black. Just all a bad look. In fact, I've never heard this defense before. Chouameni actually said Petriani was telling people on the pitch that, no, I didn't call him a monkey. I called him a gay slur instead. Then after the match, full denial from Pestriani. Just an ugly, ugly scene. And Vinicius seems to be, as you mentioned, the incredible number, a lightning rod for this, and they cannot phase this out of the game. I understand how difficult it is with thousands in attendance, but for those on the pitch, what kind of punitive measures would you take here?
I'd walk off the field. I mean, until UEFA or FIFA actually do something about what they are talking about. And you can throw every confederation in this. Walk off the field as a player. And listen, Dan, I'm glad you brought it up the way you did, allegedly. But if you're putting your shirt over your mouth and 6 players are saying, we heard it, you can miss me with the denial. I'm sorry. You can just absolutely. And then what bothers me even more is Jose Mourinho after the game then saying this always happens to him. Why? Because he celebrates his goals? Like that's what I don't understand. He didn't do anything but celebrate a fantastic goal, and then for Jose Mourinho to say, well, this happens to him because he does that. Now, there's just so much of that. Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
It seems like Europe, though, is a bit behind the times in this regard, where even a champion coach like this doesn't know how to not victim blame, and he's bothered by the showmanship of a guy who likes to enjoy his goals. Like, we did this with Terrell Owens in this country 20 years ago.
Yeah, and Jose Mourinho, by all accounts, historically an ally, beloved by his black players, and if that's supposed to be one of the good guys and he decides to victim blame and point the finger at Vinicius, that shows you how far Europe has to come here.
I mean, they're behind it. Guys, we've had this conversation in our country with the Latin American players celebrating home runs, and it turns into this conversation, well, that's against the underlying baseball rules and all of that. But the reality is that you are signaling a certain demographic of people that want to do things differently. In my sport, the global sport, there's a million ways to skin a cat. There's different ways to look at celebrations and officials and all of this. Your player put his jersey over his mouth, and 6 players said he said monkey 5 times. And then after the game, you want to say, why does this always follow that player? That doesn't work for me. That's behind the times. That means you don't understand what racism is.
Can you explain to us, please, whether you have more hope about the U.S. National team than you did the last time you were on with us when it was just epic mess?
Yes, Dan, I do. Absolutely do. Now, in saying that, you could call me and we could do this in 60 days from now. And hopefully, knock on wood, we're not talking about 2 or 3 injuries and players struggling. But Mauricio Pochettino has found a way to push the right buttons. And I think the Gold Cup controversy with Pulisic and others asking for a break, I think he struck a chord with the emotional side of playing for the U.S. men's national team, of playing for the red, white, and blue. I absolutely believe that. I also believe, and everyone's mischaracterized the group. Dan, guys, it's not an easy group, but it's a favorable group. And the draw works out for the United States that if they do their job, they finish first in the group. When you do that, that gives them a road that is a real success rate of getting to the quarterfinals. And in my opinion, it's quarterfinals or bust. After that, then it depends on who you play and how you get there. But I am much more optimistic, for lack of a better word, for the United States men than I was about 100 days ago.
Taylor is the lead analyst for Apple TV's MLS coverage that is starting up now. You don't need an additional subscription. Any Apple TV Plus subscriber can get MLS. That is a step in the right direction for what I fear.
Amen, buddy.
What I fear is when this day would come, I always thought that the United States as a soccer nation, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch, we'd be building to a crescendo. And it kind of feels, given what's happening in the country and maybe some previous missteps, that we're right there on perhaps missing this opportunity. What is MLS and U.S. soccer going to get right here to make sure that this isn't a window that's closing on them?
First off, I'm glad you brought it up. This is a unique opportunity. And actually, we talked about it on this show with you guys, is that now just having one subscription, you're on Apple TV, you can see MLS in over 108, 109 countries. That's great. That is fantastic. And that's going to grow the league. And more importantly, grow the likes of Son and Messi and all of that in MLS to a higher level. But Michael, everyone talks about what can MLS and U.S. soccer do. And this is the difference from when the World Cup was here in 1994. We didn't have the infrastructure. We didn't have the league. We didn't have the stadiums. We didn't have the training facility. The 3 of the 7 highest ranked teams in the world chose Kansas City as their base camp because of the training facilities. And why do I say that? So, Michael, my answer to this is 48 countries are going to come to this World Cup. They're going to see what MLS is. That is exponentially different than where we were 30 some odd years ago. And so I get your anxiety because I think all of us kind of feel it because it's hard to quantify. How do you maximize the opportunity? And I keep telling everybody, just do what we do. Show the world what it is. And I promise you, the Lewandowskis and all these players that come over here that have an inkling of interest in what MLS is, once they see our country, Michael, I think it's going to speak for itself. And so I'm not as anxious about what the United States can do and what MLS can do. I think once the schedule change comes in about 14, 16 months, I think the salary cap's going to change. And then I think you're going to see the global player want to come here a lot earlier than they have in the past. I just think MLS is going to be under a microscope because a lot of people don't know what it is. And then when they tangibly see it, I think that's how you grow this thing.
Can the U.S. hosting a World Cup at this time in its history be politics free, or do you have a level of concern that the whole immigration deportation issue is going to sort of shadow the games?
I will never be a person that says politics isn't in sports, and I will never be a person that says politics is not in the global game and in world football, because essentially that's how some of the clubs were born, were based on politics. And so I do believe the World Cup and the United States, and in that frame of work and that time, I think it will be safe. And I want it to be safe because that is what the United States is. That is who we are. We are a diverse country that opens our arms to people coming to see and experience what we do. And we throw an event better than anyone else in the world. And I hope that's what comes through. But I understand a lot of people asking that question because a lot of people, including myself, just have questions on where we're going in this country. And I think it's just human nature to have that question.
The MLS season returns this weekend on Apple TV. It really is it's a crazy thing to say. It's also a crazy thing to say, watch the defending champions, Inter Miami. So you have That is crazy to say that they are defending, that Messi is back. He may not play in the first game, but everything has already been a success. Thank you, Taylor. Always good talking to you. Appreciate the time, as always.
As Stan Van Gundy said, are you guys done with me?
Yeah, I didn't set up the context of that very well on the front end when Jeremy is mentioning the idea that what surrounds Giannis is not unlike the mess in Orlando. What was being reported back then, it was really before the Insider. It's not like coverage was now. It was just being reported in a handful of newspapers that Dwight Howard, a Defensive Player of the Year, second in MVP voting, somebody at the time that you would have argued might have been about as good as LeBron, like that. Those were at the time.
It was definitely one or the
other. It was
like
closer.
You were picking, who do you build around?
It was them more than it was Derrick Rose.
Incorrectly, but
don't say who we picked.
Dwight Howard ended up wanting a trade, and it was reported in a few newspapers. And Stan was basically saying, "Yep, there's tension there."
Yep.
Remember when we wanted Odin over Durant? Oh, man.
Yeah, my worst work. It's a real suffering. There are a couple of things that I have to catch up with on today's show because the wrestlers have been distracting me. Have we gotten any good names via the internet? Better for a tag team than Los Gorditos. Greg, did you make a mistake earlier in the show and call Ron Frazier the Showman instead of the Wizard? Or were you just saying he is a showman?
Right.
It's not because you got his nickname wrong.
No, I was using a lowercase Showman.
Okay, very good. It was
right.
a lowercase
Yeah.
Showman.
Yeah.
Mike, how did you feel about Taylor calling you Michael again and again?
Taylor's my dog. Like, he's one of like 4 people on the planet that can do that, I guess.
Okay, he's allowed.
It's kind of like Wilbon calling you Danny.
All right. Yes.
And Doggy, too. Doggy calls you Danny.
Doggy set a record for calling me Danny at the Super Bowl 8 times in a single interview. That does not happen quite that often. I want to go back out to our wrestling friends, and I need to give Domino some promotion for pointing for helping these clowns. Domino in the Bash at the Brew is Friday, March 6th at the Tank Brewing Company in Doral. He's taking on Stallion Rogers. Matches start at 8 p.m. You can find tickets, ccwtix.com. Can we go out to Domino now and see if these two guys have learned anything in the way of wrestling? Because Zaslow's quite the showman there with his Kid Rock shorts and his
Is he gonna talk to us?
Small S.
and his belly. Yes, I'm going to talk to you guys in a second, Zaslow. I'd like to talk to you. Are you ready for me to talk to you, or are you guys not ready?
Why
for
is
me
he
to
already
go
limping?
immediately?
He's like hobbling over.
He's up. The Macho Man is coming back into the ring now. Have we gotten, Jeremy, any good nicknames for these two guys? For these two guys, tag team from the audience.
I see Cold Soda, Steve Austin. I see Hardy's Boys, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Dos Huevos.
Greg, how do you feel about the job your son is doing?
I've never been prouder.
He's also a showman, though.
Bam Bam, Big and Slow.
Ooh.
He's taking a punch. Wow.
The chops are real. He's selling.
Man. Don't hurt my boy.
Zaz's not taking any of the bumps. That's probably smart.
He's having a cuck over there.
Yeah, given the gate.
Stay down! Stay down! Make a mockery of my facility! Yeah! Oh, you want more? Or are you done? Are you done? Yeah. Terminat.
Oh, a little test of strength.
What's the grapple? Oh,
Viste, estos son unos falsos, no pueden conmigo, que el bárbaro soy yo.
He's cheating.
All right, training session is done.
He's cheating.
Okay, we will check back in with you guys in a little while. Thank you for all of your good work out there. I've never seen Greg Cody be so proud of his failure of a son. What?
Whoa!
He's failed. Look, he's on his back. What constitutes greater failure in wrestling than his present position? You're mad at me saying he's being counted out with no one on him.
Yeah, that's not how wrestling works. Domino should know better.
He's a showman.
I cannot wait to see how sore both these individuals are tomorrow.
Zaz got knocked out by a slap to the chest.
Getting back to something that we were talking about earlier, Greg, with Nick Wright, the Chiefs aren't favored to win the AFC West this year. That's the first time since 2018 that they're not favored to win the division. And we were talking yesterday about what the Dolphins are going to do and Tyreek Hill. Mike Renner is saying that Malik Willis went 13 for 15 for 450 yards and 2 touchdowns on deep passes with the Packers. Insane stuff. Easily the most intriguing free agent quarterback in years is what Mike Renner is saying.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah, I who else had like glowing praise? Chris Sims said that Malik Willis is a budding superstar. Now, I really loved Malik Willis at Liberty. I thought he was raw. And then when he got into the pros, the game moved a little fast for him and the consistency was not there. But I can understand Miami Dolphin fans and really teams. This is the bad quarterback year. You don't have many options unless you have the number 1 pick, and Kyler Murray looks like the prize. I can see fan bases talking themselves into Malik Willis's ceiling because at Liberty I did.
Oh, it's not going to be fan bases. It's going to be these two guys because the two people running the franchise. Look, I have to think that they already know that if that's the guy they want, they're going to get him. They're going to outbid others, and he's going to want to be with the staff that he has some familiarity with, and he's going to want a chance at, can I be the guy? I don't have to be behind the first-round pick. Jordan Love and the politics of that are never going to get me a real chance. The numbers on Malik Willis, I just mentioned them, on deep passes. Look, everybody wants that. Nobody has that. You've got the Seahawks have explosive plays, but even Mahomes – the Chiefs are going to talk themselves back into Tyreek Hill because of how hard explosive plays are in that league. Deep passes, 13 for 15 for 450 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's obviously a tiny sample size, but the only advantage the Dolphins have, actually it's twofold. They've got his management team, and they've got the opportunity to build the whole thing around him. Nobody else can do it quite like that.
A great measure of explosive plays, too, is how much time do you have in the pocket. And the Dolphins need really to address, obviously, the offensive line. They've got a couple pieces there. But the offensive line, you're not going to be able to sit back and throw those deep passes when you're getting bum rushed, 2 seconds in.
I think they'll go offensive line in the first round if I were them with the 11th pick. Although Reuben Bain would be very, very tempting because Miami has so many needs.
He's going to go before 9.
Well, I've seen him anywhere in that 9 to 11 range. I mean, that's exactly about where he's going to go. If they want him badly,
he's the best pass rusher in this draft, and if you're the best pass rusher in a draft and as good as he is, you're going to go before 9.
Bulk Hogan.
When you talk about Malik Willis, though, and you talk about Patrick Mahomes, whatever the gulf is between what has been the top of that sport and how far it is that you are from it, when Tyreek Hill went from saying out loud, we could win 8 or 10 Super Bowls with the Chiefs, coming down here, not winning a single playoff game, and now possibly going back to Kansas City. And I found really interesting what Mike Florio was saying. He named 8 teams that would want Tyreek Hill. And I'm like, the last time I saw Tyreek Hill, I saw an explosion on a leg that would make me wonder whether or not that person can still be fast when they come back. Never mind quick and cuts. That was a knee explosion. His leg was going the wrong way. Like usually when there are knee injuries, and you guys tell me all the times you've seen an injury. Kevin Durant, I guess, would be one, but not one of the gruesome ones that makes you turn your television off and that person comes back with the same speed that they had before.
Willis McGahee. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you what Willis would have been without the knee injury, but he was pretty damn good as a pro.
And imagine that was 20 years ago. Like, obviously, me and Mike were talking back here. Tank Dell, who had a knee explosion on a big game.
That's one of the most gruesome injuries, and he missed all of last year. He's trying to work his way back. Dude, the knee looks deformed. Like, I don't know how he's ever going to get back to what he was in terms of, like, explosion. And Tyreek, he was already, like, even when he was healthy, you could see his game diminishing.
Yeah.
He was slowing down. The explosion out of the routes wasn't exactly the same. But, I mean, we'll see how the recovery goes. I imagine Tyreek Hill is still going to have impressive straight line speed, and that'll be an asset. Those guys that are fast, that just give me 1-9 route. It's how Deshaun Jackson ended up playing for like 3 teams down the final stretch of his career and was still getting opportunities.
I think he's the perfect fix if you feel like you're close to championship contention and you're light in the wide receiver room. He's a good 1-year gamble. He's a guy that you can probably get cheap.
Again, though, I do want to come back here because while he said Willis McGahee, to my recall, and I may be recalling this wrong, okay, Willis McGahee was a first-round running back and was a very good professional running back. But when I thought of him in the pros, I did not think of breakaway speed. I thought of a great runner who was a very rugged runner, but not as fast as he was at Miami. This is not a common knee injury, okay? His knee exploded. It's a dislocated knee and the leg going in the wrong direction. He's 32 years old, built on quickness. When your gift is that you're faster than all the other athletes in the league, I think if your leg explodes that way, you might not be anymore. Like when it explodes like that at that age, maybe he does everything that's necessary, rehabs perfectly, and still the knee exploded in a way that would take away a guy who's got, how many guys in the league do you look at and ever watch, ever, and say, he's got a few steps on everyone? How is he faster than everyone? Ted Ginn was able to do it late in his career. But again, none of these guys had their knee explode that way. And I'm not a doctor, obviously, but that gives me more questions. When Florio said that, I'm like, really? 8 or 9 teams are going to think that in the discount bin, they're going to welcome all that dude is at this age? And with that injury, you guys are that confident that Drew Rosenhaus is telling you the truth about what the surgeries are? That this person is going to be ready to bring into your receivers room faster than everyone in the league? I just don't. Those seem like reasonable questions to me to wonder whether or not that can possibly ever even be Brandon Cooks again. Because you're right. Like the guy who can get down the field faster than everyone will always get a chance. But I've never seen one of them have a knee explode that way.
Razor Hamon.
Greg Cody, the story involving Tony Clark resigning as Major League Baseball's head of the union in a time of great scandal, okay?
Yeah.
There's so much scandal in the world right now, and so many people immune to scandal that it's hard to keep up with it all. Tony Clark now is no longer the head of a players union that got used pretty bad and used to be the best of the players unions. But to hear David Sampson and others tell it, Major League Baseball's owners got over on the players because they were wanting things like candy in the clubhouse. I'm oversimplifying, and not looking at some of the other macro things that the owners were taking from them. This man is now resigning because there was an internal probe around all sorts of malfeasance. Not unlike the stuff that was happening around the NFL Players Union, where you get these power position people who abuse their power. Tony Clark, not uniquely qualified for this job. He was a first baseman, a Major League Baseball player who was handed over the finances and power of the entire Major League Players Union at one time, the most powerful of the unions to be found anywhere in business, never mind just sports. And they've given away a great deal of their power. This scandal, though, the only thing that anyone is going to see is stepsister. Is a fair
sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law, excuse me.
Yeah.
That's a good correction. My bad.
Wrong
Different
category.
tab.
That's different. No,
category.
see, that's even a worse scandal.
Yeah, minor fine.
Sister, I think that's a bigger fine actually. If I have to go, I don't know what the fine for that is. It's not a mistake that I've made before, but having an affair with your sister-in-law, allegedly, deserves, if I get that as stepsister, what I've accused you of now deserves a bigger fine than just $5, I think.
That's right.
That mistake.
Let's stay here.
How much should that fine be? I mean, it's a mistake. I made it. We might as well sink into it. I mean, it was an honest mistake, but it was a mistake.
We don't do that in this state anymore, by the way.
Yeah, $25.
You know what? That seems fair.
Yeah,
That seems
Stand your ground,
that
Tony.
seems fair. I'm going to pay the fine.
The Fine Bucket is presented by MoneyLion. Download the MoneyLion app or visit MoneyLion.com to learn more. MoneyLion, make money easy.
This is the second greatest fine in the history of the show. Usually that $50 fine is just for death, and I deserve this as the fine bucket returns because that's a bad mistake. Because I just made the scandal even worse than it was, and it was plenty fine the way that it was.
It was already a pretty bad scandal, but you somehow really, softened it. It's just his sister-in-law, not his stepsister.
I give Tony Clark a little bit of credit. I mean,
Oh, my God.
Listen, no. Here's what I mean. If you're going to be scandalized, be creative with it. Don't get involved in a scandal that's mundane, that we've all heard before. Do something that perks the eyebrows a little bit. It's like, really? With his sister-in-law? Interesting. See, that's a read me headline. I'm going to read about that, whereas if it's just a typical, he's allegedly skimming a little money off the side or whatever, boring. But an affair with the sister-in-law, that gets my attention.
Dan, that's another Greg Cody first down.
There is a wide-ranging and still open federal probe into the MLBPA's finances and other alleged improprieties. There are a number of them.
Yeah, but those are boring.
Yeah, no one cares, Dan.
Yeah.
Well, not only do they not care, I've somehow managed, because of the way that I presented this and because of the pothole I fell in, I've somehow managed to make all of this less scandalous than it was. If you're just learning of what it is that I said, if you're just learning of Tony Clark and any of this, and I've given you the context, and then I say an affair with his stepsister, on top of that, I've thrown in something to all of a sudden make all the next outrageous claims less outrageous because of where I put your expectations at the start of this. I think it should be bigger than a $25 fine, frankly. It's not quite killing somebody, but I mean, their character, this guy's in plenty
Character assassination, $25.
This guy is in plenty of scandal as it is. I can't imagine, okay? I cannot imagine. He's not the victim here, but he is a person who had great respect in baseball circles as both a player and a leader. To have all of this in front of people, the illicit affair, and you betrayed your players. The accusation of you could not be trusted by your peers to protect their money. They gave you their money and their power. The amount of shame that must be in this man's life right now, in all regards, it'll make you question everything that you did with your life. It'll make you question everything you did with the entirety of your life to have this kind of behavior investigated by your peers because you couldn't be trusted with their money.
It's such a bizarre story because it seems like they were moving around profits or budgets to potentially skim some money off the top. We don't know. If it had been his stepsister that he slept with, that would be a much bigger story. But it's his sister-in-law, which means it's either a brother's wife or your wife's sister. Could be your sister's wife. I'm an ally. But one way or another, which is worse? Which is the worst scenario to find yourself in? A public affair where you slept with your brother's wife, or a public affair where you slept with your wife's sister? Your thoughts?
Well, let's go through all of it, though, because let's go through all of this here, all of the examples. Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard
Either
Show.
way, Greg's commending the creativity.
Yeah. I'm not so much commending it, I'm appreciating it.
All right, I thought those were synonyms, but all right.
Not quite synonyms.
Ravishing Rick Food.
At Le Batard Show, which is, I wanted tag teams, okay? I did want tag teams for both of them. We could go fat jokes. We can go just fat jokes at one of them, but it can't be Ravishing Rick Food for both of them. It can only be Ravishing Rick Food for one of them. Ravishing Rick Foods, maybe, as a tag team?
No.
The Rib Roll Express.
Which is worse, at Le Batard Show? Cheating with your brother's wife? Cheating with your wife's sister? Or cheating with your sister's wife?
Yep.
Parenthetically, I'm an ally.
Yep. Yeah, make sure that's
Yeah, put that as well in there, just to make sure to cover all the
make sure
ground.
by erasure does not exist.
But so as far as scandals go, though, I am positive that most people here don't remember Tony Clark as a player, and most people here don't necessarily. I don't mean in the shipping container. I mean listening to.
I was about to say Tony the Tiger.
Yes.
All-star.
Yes.
I remember him as a player. Fist me.
The first.
Yeah.
Only Chris can do that. You can't do that.
The first of the tall first baseman, the first of the tall, big first baseman who hit for power. Yes. But I think even fewer of you knew what he was doing recently as the head of the Players Union. And now this is how he's remembered his punctuation. So honestly thrilled to be doing this with you because I have admired your work. You are just such a sculptor. You're an artist as a comedian. It's sort of the
Why? Thank you.
Well, the craft of it. It's such a hard way to make a living, Jay. I don't even understand how you make a living that way. I really don't. You have to be demented to choose, you know what? I'm going to laugh my way to the top. I'm going to take the expectation of funny, and that's how I'm going to get rich. Get out of here. It's crazy.
It seems sort of second nature to me. You know, I think it's one of those things. If it's what you like to do, it just comes. You know, I remember when I was in college, I'm dyslexic, so I would get out of any sort of written things, and I was taking speech therapy. And I remember the professor said, now at the end of the class, each student will have to give a 20-minute talk. And people went, 20 minutes? Oh my God, I get done. I thought, I'll do it right now. I'll talk for 20 minutes. Yeah, let's do this. You know, so it just struck me as funny.
But you could be funny in an instant? You knew that this was something...
No, not funny. I had to give a 20-minute talk. I mean, I didn't have a routine. I wasn't a comedian yet, but it just seemed natural. I mean, I always read that getting eaten by a shark and public speaking are the two things most people are afraid, you know, that kind of stuff.
But not you, right? Like that, you didn't need attention, right? An audience just didn't scare you, right? Even though you were dyslexic, even though...
No, it didn't scare me. It didn't scare. You know what's interesting? A lot of people don't realize, you remember the Smothers Brothers, right?
Yes.
Well, Tommy Smothers was dyslexic, and they were folk singers, but Tommy would get the songs wrong. Michael, boat the row ashore. No, it's row the what? And they made it part of their act. And that's kind of how they became a sort of funny comedy singing team, you know?
How do you watch stand-up comics? Because I imagine you are watching not just to laugh, but to see where the comic's insecure, where the comic looks off stage or looks at his feet. I imagine...
No, not really. I watch it just to enjoy it. You know, I like comedy. I enjoy watching comedians. You have to be careful when you're a comedian because someone does a joke and then you realize you never want to be on stage and that subject comes up and your mind immediately goes to that person. So you have to be careful not to try and take somebody else's material. You know, that's sort of the biggest trick. A lot of times you don't want to watch comedians do routine on a particular subject because if you're developing something along the same line, oh, now you can't do yours because it's too close to theirs or whatever it might be. But no, I watch it. You know, it's like I like to make love, but I don't want to be a gynecologist. You know what I mean? So I enjoy it just being, you know, just being around it and being with comics. It's always fun.
you came up through the pipeline of where stand-up comedy was born, right? Like, I mean, you're almost at the roots, Jay. I mean, I don't know if it's Pryor and Carlin, but coming up through the LA comedy circuit, coming up through the comedians when you were writing with David Letterman for JJ Walker, right? Like coming up through the Comedy Store. Can you take me through the path of what you imagined your career was going to be and how it is that you arrived in?
Well,
like, I can't even imagine getting from there to the Tonight Show.
Well, I'm a huge believer in low self-esteem. I think it's the key to success. If you don't think you're the smartest person in the room, you're more likely to listen and pay attention. I mean, when I was doing the Tonight Show, I'd constantly be
Coming up today on the Alley Oop, we get the top 5 NBA crash out lists out in front of the people ASAP. What else we got, sis?
And I give my midseason MVP award, and it is not who you think. Lock in.
Lock in.
we're afraid he'd be too good. You know, I get that all the time. Or I get comedians who auditions for the Tonight Show, and they didn't quite have them. They were close, and their agent would say, "You're scared because you know if my client kills, he could take your job." No, I want your client to do well. It's just that, you know, talking about Reagan's trip to Pittsburgh 30 years later, it's not really timely anymore. Okay, can you try to update the material? Oh, and then people get furious. So there's all sorts of reasons why. But I think the key is I was always happy at whatever level I was at. I mean, I used to have a day job and then be a comedian at night, and I would bank one and spend the other. And then when the comedian money got to be pretty good, I quit the other job. And I thought, oh, I'm making a living as a comedian, because it's probably a sad reflection on our society, but the worst comedian in the world still makes more than the best teacher, which seems hardly fair, but that's just the way it is. And so I always was able to make a living, and it was okay. Each year got a little better than the year before, and that was okay. It's so funny. Whenever I watch these shows about, there's a couple of them on Netflix and HBO about comedians, it's a backbiting, horrible business, and everybody hates one another. And that wasn't the case at all. I mean, I got where I was thanks to Steve Martin and Johnny Carson and Harvey Korman. And consequently, when I got a little success, I brought Johnny Carson in to see Ellen DeGeneres and some other comedians as well. And you can't do every job every day. So I've always found comedians to be extremely supportive. Whenever one of us, by one of us, I mean Letterman or me or Seinfeld or even Robin Williams, if you watch my first Tonight Show from 1977, you hear this in the back laughing in the audience. It's Robin. Robin was sitting in the audience, kind of helping me out and giving me a little encouragement, And consequently, when those guys did the Tonight Shows, we all went and would laugh it up for them, whether it's Merv Griffin or Mike Douglas or any of those shows. So it's actually quite a nice way to make a living. I mean, yes, there are horrible people in it, I suppose, but I didn't run into too many of them. I met far more nice people than bad people.
What do you regard as the happiest time in your professional life? Because I remember, I don't know how many times you appeared on Letterman. I remember a stand-up act specifically that for some reason, I don't know whether it was discovering you, I guess, but you were on stage and you did something about Mr. Universe, and you held your fingers under your chin, and you made some other interplanetary weightlifter was furious because we had decided that
I should have won. I got that bit. Yeah. Something about how did Venus win? I should have won. It was how they have Mr. Universe. If there's the happiest time yesterday was pretty good. But, the happiest time was probably when I was doing Letterman show every month. About every 4 weeks, I do a Letterman show. And it was the first time that I got to be on with a contemporary. Because, like with Johnny Carson, like when I see him, oh, hi, Mr. Carson, call me Johnny. Well, when you grow up in New England, you grow up, you don't call parents by their first name. Jay, these are my parents, Bob and Agnes. Oh, hi, Bob. No, I'm Mr. and Mrs. Minicelli. How are you? Nice to meet you. So to me, it was always weird doing Merv Griffin or Mike Douglas or any of those shows, because I was talking to an adult and I was essentially a kid. And then finally, when Letterman got a show, I could want to go, hey, Dave, nice tie, Dave. What a dump this studio is. And just, trash, which you couldn't do with Johnny just out of respect or out of deference, So that was the most fun to me. And you really got a chance to be yourself. The fun thing about doing Letterman in those early days was making Letterman laugh on the way to the joke as opposed to the joke. Letterman was a guy who always got nervous before he went on stage. I didn't get nervous. So one day I was eating a sandwich and Letterman stops me and he goes, how can you eat that sandwich? You're on.
Andrew Friedman is going to join us here, and he's basically changed and revolutionized and ruined baseball. He's the president of baseball operations for the Dodgers, and all they've done since he's been there is won. Basically, they changed the game when the Rays were changing the game, and then the Dodgers said, well, we'll do that, but with money. We'll do everything you guys are doing and with more money than everyone else.
It's like, you know how to do this baseball thing? Yeah. Why don't you do it over here for absurd amounts of money?
You can win 90 games a year with no budget what if we gave you the most unlimited budget that's ever existed in American sports?
Right. So we're going to make fun of him about that and play with him about that because they really have changed baseball for better or for worse. I don't know the answer to that, actually. Dynasties generally are pretty good for baseball, but also so's hope. And last year, I didn't actually think they were better than the Blue Jays in that series, but it doesn't matter because they won. Oh, you say no now, but I still think the Rams should have been champions of the sport. Now you say it. Now you say that the Dodgers. Why don't the Dodgers prove it for all time? Because they beat the Blue Jays.
Sports are an imperfect measurement.
The Farty Boys.
The perfect measurement that we have is out in Delray, Sunrise, Pompano, Doral, where we go out right now to Chris Cody. He is still in character. He's been in character for 2 hours. Zaslow's been in character. They must be exhausted still being in character. Chris Cody, take me through what's going on out there. Zaslow loves wrestling. He's been bothering me for years about start a wrestling podcast with me. And now we get to see all of their skills. Chris, where are you with how things are going out there?
Done with all the talking. It's time to get to dancing. Beatdown time coming up, Dan. Beatdown.
Really? Are you fighting?
Advil's wearing off. Let's get going with this.
I'm
about 60 seconds away from tearing a hamstring. I have so much time left in me.
All right, go ahead. What have you learned from Domino? Go ahead and
we got a. What's this called? A 2-on-1 match?
No. This isn't a handicap. This is a 2-on-1. Esto lo que va a formar aquí es tremendo despingue.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Falta respeto. Aquí making me come at 7 in the morning. I thought I was here going to have a healthy training session. Y me está faltando respeto. I haven't had my Cuban cafecito for the day.
Yeah.
And they're here disrespecting my dojo, my facility.
Gonna catch that healthy beatdown, puto.
Hey,
Wait a minute.
Hey.
Wait a minute.
Es una falta de respeto, Dan. Esta gente que son que me mandaste aquí.
Puto sounds racist. That sounds
Let's
racist.
go.
No, let's go. ¿Tú sabes qué? Mira, go ahead aquí.
All right, get my earpiece out. I can't listen to this crap.
The Legion of Spoons.
Vamos, ponte en cuatro, que te voy a partir. You ready? Here we go. Esto vaya. Ow! Ow! Ah! Ah!
I got him.
A cord around his neck?
Oh, they're bad guys. My apologies to the audio audience.
De Niro level teaching there.
The Irish.
Zaz.
I would love to do this as just audio until we get to Andrew Friedman and then don't explain it to him.
Get him.
I'm jealous of the audio audience. I can only imagine what they're seeing in their heads.
Tag me.
You think you got this?
Chris waved off Zaz on the tab.
He lost his bandana.
This your friend? Huh? ¿Quieres otra? Falta respeto. Otra. That's right.
Chris, come on.
Make sure he doesn't go to work tomorrow, Dan.
Come on.
¿Quieres otra?
Come on.
Cheaters.
Come on.
Falta respeto. Make sure that you both don't go a la pincha. Oh! Yes! No! Oh! That's right.
The hammies might have gone on the atomic drop.
Para que todo el mundo vea que se acabó.
Thank you. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Domino catches a chair shot.
Oh, you want to choke me? The rope, I thought we were supposed to have a healthy training session.
Sonny in chair.
Donna! Oh! Welcome to wrestling! Se acabó!
Roy, you can't give the Hakeem Nixlaff to Sonny and Chair.
Yes, I can, and I did.
Roy!
2, 3.
Ponte la pila!
I was actually impressed.
That was pretty good.
Chris
actually.
ate that chair shot.
I want some slow motion stills. Thank you guys. Appreciate Domino all of your work here. I need to promote again. Actually, I should tell people, and you should put on the screen the Bash at the Brew 62 Friday, March 6th. Excuse me. That was excellent. I'd love to see the still of when it is that Zaslow got the knee to the butt. When he got the knee.
The atomic drop, Dan.
Thank you. But for those who do not know,
both of his knees went up in the air.
Yes. Well, the face that he made, though, suggested to me that the face that he made suggested, because we couldn't see where the knee was, that the knee hadn't hit the butt. The knee had gone straight up the butt. Like, that's what it looked like. And the visual, the camera work that was on his direct face, if we can still it, I am ensuring you guys that it is quality photograph that will embarrass him for a great deal of time, because it looked like that really hurt, as it would if that were to happen to you. Domino picked up Zaslow. That cannot be easy, correct? Even with momentum, we can agree that it would not be easy to pick up Zaslow, correct?
Peanut butter and belly.
Roy. How?
Come on, man. That was funny.
Roy, Sonny and Chair?
Yes, that was funny.
But,
oh, he's getting Zaz again.
Just happy Hakeem Nicks made an appearance.
Yeah.
Been too long.
But it was unearned. It was not deserved.
Defend yourself there, Greg.
No, he can't defend himself. Sonny and Chair, because Zaslow had been hit with a chair.
Because my son was holding the chair when I said it. Do I have to explain this?
You know what? I missed that.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. See, thank you.
You're welcome.
One more time.
Wow. Roy got it. Roy got it.
Give him another one.
I did.
That right there.
That was a great
That's
still.
when the hammy went. That's when the hammy went.
You could see his hand like holding exactly where the knee went, which is.
Yeah, Zaz is still on the mat, and I don't think he's selling.
The Mid-Bite Express.
It is my fault, Greg, and I deserve a penalty for not understanding how nuanced and great your joke was.
There you go.
And
Thank
so I don't know what my penalty should be. I'm
$26.
Well, no.
Major penalty, 5 minutes, swooning comedy.
So Andrew Friedman, I'll come back to do that, but I'm going to leave for a moment here because I deserve this penalty. It's been a rough show for me in a variety of different ways, so I'm going to just take 5 minutes off and see if I can gather myself.
All right, see you, Dan.
Stepsister.
I tell you.
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
It gives us an opportunity to talk about something that I've wanted to talk about for a couple of days here, which is it just started. They just dropped the puck, Canada versus Czechia. But we have an incredible day of hockey right now.
Tough.
Sweden is a very difficult matchup for the U.S., and it allows us to revisit what happened over the weekend, Sunday, as the Daytona 500 and those boys returning left was going on. Matthew Tkachuk and them boys took on Germany, headlined by Leon Draisaitl, Edmonton Oiler, Stanley Cup final rival. And cameras and microphones caught Matthew Tkachuk telling Leon Draisaitl something that is just quintessentially Chucky. Always a bridesmaid, never the bride.
Perfect.
Matthew Tkachuk doing Matthew Tkachuk things. Now we turn our attention to today's opponent, Sweden, which is going to be a very difficult test. Loads of NHL players on Sweden, chock full of them. This is going to be a very difficult matchup, and it wouldn't surprise me at all, Roy, if Sweden takes this one.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, and I'm going with the under on this one. I don't think there's going to be a lot of goals scored in this game.
This one's going to be testy. For as well as the U.S. played, this is a very difficult matchup for them. Sweden, and you couple that with the European crowd in Italy. The German crowd was extraordinary. That was basically a road game for the U.S. You have loads of big-time hockey games, big-time important players on the ice right now. Canada is probably going to have the easiest time today, but Finland, Switzerland as well. The Swiss also surprised with the level of NHL talent that they have on their roster. This is not the four nations where there were two very clear teams. The Olympics are a little bit different, and I think that the favorites outside of Canada, who should do well given their enormous talent disparity, this one's going to be difficult for the U.S. Like I said, I'm on Sweden money line on this one.
Minnesota wrecking Chew.
And the Slovaks today, they railroaded Germany. I tell you, I mean, Leon Draisaitl.
Always a bridesmaid.
Yeah, gone.
Are we in round robin territory, or is it kind of lose and go home?
No, it's the quarters. They're in the quarters right now.
Yeah, we're in the quarterfinals right now. It would be disappointing if I told you the U.S. bowed out in the quarterfinals. This is a great generation for USA hockey, but I kind of favor the Swedes here. I've made that pretty evident. But would this be characterized as an embarrassment for the United States, given what we know about the talent level of Sweden? The fact is, the line's just a 1.5 goal spread in this one. I don't think it would be that huge, but people that kind of tangentially follow international hockey are going to be pretty embarrassed if the U.S. don't get past the quarters.
I think it would be an embarrassment. I think the U.S. has to get past the quarterfinal round with NHL guys playing for the first time since, 2014, I think. But let me ask you guys this. Matthew Tkachuk, was asked about comparing a Stanley Cup versus a gold medal in the Olympics, and he basically said something to the effect, well, nothing would beat winning gold for your country. Do you think a hockey player looks at a gold medal above the Stanley Cup or not?
I don't know. Matthew Tkachuk is one of the few people that has authority to speak on the subject, being that he's a part of the team that's been running the sport here for a little bit. The Tkachuk family loves putting on that sweater. And the fact that international competition at the Olympic level has been ripped away, seemingly from an entire generation of hockey players, I can believe Matthew Tkachuk when he says that. I really do. They are proud to be American faces of the game.
I want to get to Andrew Friedman here, but what you guys are talking about is funny for a number of reasons. There are so few workplaces like this. If in any workplace in your life that wasn't this kind of competitive, someone came by you and said to you, a peer, "Oh, is the bridesmaid, huh?" It's like a cruel thing to say to another human being who also cares about what you do for a living. Like Tkachuk saying that out loud. I know it's normal in sports, and sports are a different place, but saying that, that is somebody, if you said that to somebody in your workplace, that person would either never speak to you again or want to fight you.
I don't think it crosses the line.
No, it's not that it doesn't cross the line. It's just you're actively trying to not be liked by somebody when you do that.
Jeez, McDavid just had the nicest assist to Macklin celebrating.
I have so many worse things said to me here every day.
Andrew Friedman is with us now, and he gets mean things said to him. This guy gets a lot of applause and gets blamed for ruining baseball. I've admired him because he was a pioneer with the Rays, and the Rays were smarter than everyone else for a long time, and then the Dodgers said, let's do what they do, but with more money than everyone else. And so Andrew Friedman is on top of the sport, and it's really random, and it's hard to be great even with all the money, and he's got 9 division titles, 5 pennants, 3 World Series in 6 seasons. Thank you for joining us, Andrew. If I told you that that's what it was going to be, would it have exceeded your expectations when you started? If I told you it was going to be, given how hard baseball is, if I told you when you started, what's the best you're going to do? What's the answer to that?
Yeah, it's a great question. First, thanks for having me on. But yeah, I mean, going into the job with the Dodgers, on one hand, I was excited about kind of throwing myself in the deep end and having to think about things totally different. I didn't even know what the CBT tax and how that worked. And so it was kind of retraining my brain in a lot of ways. Yeah, I would say that this exceeded. I didn't necessarily sit down and say, okay, it's going to be X number of divisions and World Series. Obviously, the goal was to win a World Series every year. But yeah, it is hard, and there's, you need to have really talented teams and some good fortune as well.
Can you explain to me how groundbreaking, pioneering, and difficult it was to get the Shohei Ohtani contract to be what it was so that you can pay him so little on the front end?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this a lot. I wouldn't have had the guts to propose the contract that we ended up doing with him. Obviously we had made an offer, we had talked about some things, and we had an idea of kind of where we wanted to go. And as it turned out, Nes Bolello, Shohei's agent, put together this kind of deal and took it to the 3 or 4 teams that Shohei was most interested in and wanted to know who would do it. And in the process of that call, it's like, deal, done, we're in. He's like, whoa, settle down. This isn't him making a decision yet. Just trying to get a feel for who's in. And yeah, I mean, obviously, the impact he has for our team in the clubhouse, on the field, and then also what he has helped provide for our organization in terms of increased resources. All of that, I think, even with the highest of expectations, in a lot of ways has exceeded that as well.
Can you give me the top 3 guys, bottom to top, that you were most surprised to get? Like that you surprised yourself and got super excited, beyond excited, because 3, 2, 1, we were able to get this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think Shohei, even going back to 2017, when he was still playing in the MPB and coming over to the States, we spent a ton of time on it. We didn't have the DH at the time, but we did everything we could to try to recruit him and sell him on the city of Los Angeles. In fact, hundreds of hours were spent on that. And when the announcement came that he was going to the Angels, my brother sent me a text and said, "Hey, great job selling him on Los Angeles." So it had been, front of mind for us for a long time. And so that's clearly number one. With Freddie, he was someone going into that winter that was at the top of our list, but we just thought the odds of getting him to leave Atlanta were extremely remote. So had very low expectations until that day where the Braves traded for Matt Olson. And that's when we were like, okay, we have a shot. So I would say throughout 98% of that process, we thought we had no chance. And then when that happened, we felt like we had a pretty good chance. There's a number of guys that, we talked about it this offseason. Kyle Tucker coming to us on a shorter term deal. We've seen guys take shorter term deals with higher AAVs, but not when they have a big long term contract as an alternative. We haven't seen somebody, I don't think, turn down a massive long term contract to sign a shorter, more aggressive deal. And so I think throughout that process, we didn't think the odds were very high just because we felt confident he had, a big $300+ million contract, and odds were he was going to take it. So I think until the end, we thought the odds were pretty low.
Andrew, when you hear the narrative spoken or written that the Dodgers' astronomical spending is, quote, bad for baseball, what do you say?
I mean, I guess a couple of things. One is we are an incredibly healthy organization right now. We are doing really, really well off the field. And, it was 12 years ago, 13 years ago that this organization was in bankruptcy. And so as an organization, we are in a very, very healthy spot. And we feel in a real connection and partnership to our fans. And that commitment to pouring it back in and doing everything we can to win a championship and bring a parade through the streets of Los Angeles. And so it is that partnership that we have with our fans that is a real driving force. And I just like the counterfactual to what, or the counterpoint to us having an aggressive payroll is the people who are upset by it just want our owner to pocket more money. Like, I don't understand the other side of it. We are investing in our team in a way that with where we are, the core of talent we have, we're not being flippant about it that, hey, this will just happen forever. Obviously, we are doing all we can to keep one eye on the present and one eye on the future, and to be as good as we can be for as long as we can. But we are in a really special moment in time with the core group of players that we have. And our mindset is to be aggressive to kind of back that up and do everything we can to win a championship in 2026.
It looks from over here like all your dreams have come true, and possibly so. What percentage of your job is great joy and what percentage is still suffering?
That is a great question. I think it's going to give some scary insight into my brain. But, people have said, oh, it must be easier with all the resources. When I was with the Rays, when I was now with the Dodgers, the day-to-day is no different. Whatever you're given, whatever rules you're operating in, whatever payroll budget you have, the players you have, and trying to do everything you can to make them the best versions of themselves. All of that is the exact same. And winning the last game of the season. Uh, just to give you some insight, my first year as GM was 2006 with the Devil Rays. Knew we were terrible. We finished with the worst record in baseball. And at the end of that year, Terry Ryan, the longtime GM of the Minnesota Twins, steps down. And he said, I had just gotten to a point where the losses were killing me and the wins weren't really gratifying. They weren't as fulfilling. And I was like, man, I'm in trouble. This was my first year. I knew we were going to lose 100 games, and I'm already there. So just to give you some insight into how.
Oh, but that bums me out though, because it sounds like you would have trouble enjoying this. Like it's the whole Pat Riley thing of there's winning and there's misery. Until you win, there's not joy, and the daily grind is a suffering. And so the answer to my question is what on percentages? How much joy? How much suffering?
So much of it falls out of what's going on. So, I've gotten good at enjoying after the 24 World Series. I'd say, look, every step along the way, when we win the division or clinch a playoff spot, we have fun that night. And it's, I think, important to go have fun and exhale and blow it out a little bit and celebrate each of those milestones along the way. And after the 24 season, after the 25 season, really good times. The problem is 3 days later, you still smell like alcohol and you're on your way to the GM meetings and it's time to focus on the next season. So this job is, I joke about the ebbs and the flows. I haven't really found the ebbs. There's just enough going on where it's hard to soak in it too much. But I've definitely gotten better at enjoying the good things, but a little tortured soul in that in some ways.
What are the parts of the job that nobody could possibly understand?
It's such a public job. I think part of it is just nonstop. Just the number of challenges, issues, just with the vast, the size of our organization, the number of players, it's just nonstop, the number of things that are going on. Some are small, some are big. And it is just relentless on a daily basis.
Joe Madden said of you, he intentionally challenged people's ideas to create a conversation. How do you do that? When do you do that? Is that purposeful part of your leadership?
Yeah, I believe so strongly in collaboration. And if I am really mired in something, I really value having outside perspective of someone who's less mired in it. And sometimes it's, oh yeah, you're just missing this context. That's not right. Or sometimes it's, wow, you're right. I'm so mired in it. I missed it. So I believe very much in collaboration. That being said, if we're always agreeing, then I'm scared. And so we'll be in meetings and it'll be like, hey, who agrees with this? And if everyone's like, yeah, I'm like, all right, hold on. Let's check ourselves. Let's do kind of a pre-mortem of how this could go wrong, because that's when it scares me. I like when we have disagreement and arguments and, can get at different angles of a decision to make the best decision we can with the information we have. And when we are disagreeing is when I feel best about how we're proceeding.
Who's the player most likely to check you?
Kirsch was for sure. Actually said it to him. We're trying to get him to come work with us. And just the number of times he would say something to me and be like, hey, why are we doing this? Or have you thought about this? The number of times I'm like, yeah, that's a really good point. And he wasn't afraid to do it, and I welcomed it, and it was great. And so now we're trying to use that as leverage to get him to come join us.
What is something you can tell us about Shohei Ohtani that would explain to the layman the modern day Babe Ruth skill set that you've never seen before?
Yeah, I think it's easy to say I've never seen it before, because I would argue he is the greatest player who's ever played this game. I think in some crazy ways he's actually underrated. Just the human brain has a hard time comprehending this, but I think his work ethic, the determination, the focus, the relentless pursuit of being great at not just hitting but also pitching, and all that that entails, it's incredibly impressive. And it's funny, after we won in New York in 24, celebrating after, he's like, all right, 9 more. I was like, Shohei, it's not that easy. Then after last year celebrating, he's like, all right, 8 more. I'm like, Shohei, it's not that easy, but I hope we continue to have that conversation.
Can you tell me what level of your life before baseball, analyst for 2 years with Bear Stearns and Company, an investment firm, 3 years as an associate for a private equity firm. Did you take any of those things over to baseball?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, just getting out of college and working 80 to 100-hour weeks helped prepare me in some ways for just how to kind of manage a lot of different things. But I think the biggest thing was, in those jobs, information is king, and having as much information as you possibly can, and the art of how to distill that down for decision making, for presenting to other people. Those were things that I spent a lot of time doing and thinking about that I think serves me on a daily basis now.
How often is your wife noticing that you're thinking about baseball instead of at home like you're supposed to be?
I think I've gotten better, so I'm going to give myself, some like most improved player award, but probably not great.
I mean, I just imagine that it's a little bit, maybe it's not overwhelming to you, but I'm guessing that running that entire thing means that all the problems end up on your desk and that nobody sees that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And so being a champion is hard, but worth it, correct? Like you've poured yourself into this. It would feel less worth it though, right? If the Rays had beaten you, as I thought they could have, should have, and deserved to.
The Jays.
The Jays, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a couple of things. One, the joy that we get from winning is incredible. The parade, the energy is unlike anything I've ever felt before. And it is incredible. Now, we also appreciate that the playoffs are hard in baseball, and being really talented is really helpful, but you also need some good fortune. And so last year we definitely benefited from some good fortune, and years past we've been on the other side of that. And so there is a large role that fortune kind of plays in it. And so with that, it's hard to have all of the joy tied to just that one outcome. But for me, it's who we do it with on a daily basis, the amount of time that goes into it. I mean, we're here in spring training, be here for, close to 6 weeks, away from our families, and just the challenges that come with that. And just the joy that I derive from the people that I do it with, and the successes that we have are something that I think really does stick with me, and where I get a lot of fulfillment in my job.
Can you put us next to you during the World Series at the moment that you're the most scared that you're going to lose it?
There are so many moments in that. So I've always said my whole career, there is no way I could do a Game 7 extra innings. Like, I'm just not wired to handle that. And it turns out you just do it. But the number of times I had to go take steps back and just remember to breathe. Like, hey, dummy, take breaths. Yeah, I mean, that ball off the bat from Clement when Andy posterized Kike off the bat, I did not feel great about that. The Miggy Rowe backhand throw to home, I actually felt good about that one, even as it went to replay. The 3-0 changeup, Vladdy off Snell, 3-0 changeup, and Vladdy hits a fly ball to center off the bat. I thought he got it, so that wasn't a great feeling. So there were so many in that game. which is what makes it, such an incredible game, such an incredible series. That perspective kind of gets lost on you as you are kind of mired in it, but continue to hear it every day, all day from fans and different people of, just how impactful and incredible that series was.
This is a difficult question to ask you, but would one title with the Rays have meant as much to you as 3 with the Dodgers?
I don't know how to do any kind of conversion on them, but obviously the success we had with the Rays winning the East. I remember a quote that Larry Lucchino had. He was talking about the Red Sox as being the little engine that could compared to the Yankees. I was like, man, if you guys are the little engine that could, I don't even know what that makes us. So just going up against the Red Sox and Yankees and those resources and the disparity and winning the division and having the success we had was incredibly gratifying. And I think winning divisions definitely is more impactful than winning a division here. I think winning a World Series anywhere is as special as it gets.
Well, speaking of the Rays days, Peter Bendix very well, and he's trying to do in Miami right now with a low player payroll what seemed to work in Tampa. Can you put into words the challenge he has taken on trying to do what he's doing with that payroll in a division with the Phillies, Braves, and Mets?
You've known him since he was in his early 20s, correct?
Yeah, as an intern with the Rays. He is really, really bright, really talented. And I think what should inspire confidence in people in Miami is he's not afraid. And I think there are a lot of people who are in this job who are afraid. They're looking to, preserve their job. Peter is really bright. He's really bold. And he appreciates that in that division and with their resources, you have to be. If you are doing things the exact same way as the Phillies, the Mets, the Braves, you have no chance. And it was similar to how we were with the Rays. We had to operate very differently than the Yankees and Red Sox. And I think Peter is not afraid to do that. I think sometimes it's unconventional. I think sometimes you're throwing, a little bit of the spotlight on yourself in a way that could make some people uncomfortable, makes you get second guess more, but he's not afraid. And I think he is doing what he feels like is right for that organization. And I would certainly bet on him.
Thank you. We appreciate the time. Congratulations on the success. Congratulations on ruining baseball as well. I do have one more extreme question for you as we let you go, though. Can you now tell us the story of one time with the Rays where you were looking at whatever the Red Sox were doing, the Yankees were doing, compared to something that you were doing, and you're like, come on, why do I have to deal with such small-time circumstances here?
I don't know. I mean, I think, the Yankees did a really good job, and it all is a matter of perspective, but, we had to be really aggressive to try to innovate and to think about things differently and approach things differently. And I think the Yankees would kind of sit back and say, okay, what's working for the Rays, what's not working, and then, or for any other team, and then say, okay, we're going to copy that now, but we're not going to invest the front end time to do it. And so we would go through the trials and errors and things that would work, things that wouldn't work. And those teams were just able to kind of sit back and pick that off. But obviously, Major League free agency, the way that things are structured, is not only a great thing. There are disadvantages that come with it in terms of term and contracts and how that can tie up future flexibility. And so when I was with the Rays, watching the Red Sox and Yankees do some of those deals, those were good in terms of our future outlook. And so trying to, stay true to who we were and find the right opportunities to try to surpass them. But yeah, I mean, they operate so differently than us that I think it's almost on a daily basis. But that was kind of a macro, kind of take on our viewpoint on them at the time.
Thank you, Andrew. I don't think people understand how hard it is to do what you do, even with all of the money in the world. We appreciate it, sir.
Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it.
I was also enjoying throughout that the video team was playing behind Tony with Zaz's face on real and genuine pain there. While that is a good shot, I actually think that we may have some others of him that are even closer to the camera because as I remember what I saw, and I can get it wrong with my memories, I had Willis McGahee as a pro being slow. His face was very close to the camera. And it was even funnier than that, even though that's pretty funny.
You also had the Rays in the World Series.
Yeah, I did that too.
You and also had Tony Clark with the stepsister.
As well. Yeah.
Bad day for you.
Yeah.
There were other things. We don't need to get into it. Hey, the Canadians are losing.
Oh, it's looking bad right
2-1 after scoring a brilliant first goal. The Czechs have stormed all the way back. 2-1.
DraftKings Sportsbook puts you right in the middle of the basketball's biggest star-driven moments. Bet player props, bet live, and when the game run turns fast, DraftKings has your back with early exit. If your player gets injured anytime in the first half, your bet stays alive, and once it settles, you get paid in cash. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code DAN. New customers just bet $5, and if your bet wins, you win $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code DAN in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours.